from somebody.
That's why we didn't feel like pushing. Thank you. Welcome to the September 14th Oakland Mayor and Council meeting. Roll call.
Mayor Schwager.
Here.
Councilman Kamala.
Here.
Councilman McCann. Here. Councilman Pignatelli.
Here.
Councilman Saliani.
Here.
Councilman Sosinski.
Here.
Councilman Talamini.
Here.
This meeting is being held in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Law, duly announced, advertised, and posted in the municipal building. The meeting will adjourn at 10 p.m. unless a majority of the council members that are present vote to extend the time. As I said earlier, could you please look at your cell phones? Either turn them off or put them on mute. Also, I request that you refrain from texting because texting is very discourteous and it really could be construed as a violation of the Open Public Meetings Act, especially if you're texting someone up here and they're texting back. So, stand pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing for a moment of silence. Please be seated. For my mayor's report, I'm going to repeat something that I said at the last meeting because it's very important. It's regarding our Veterans Recognition Program. I reported this program at our last council meeting in August and feel it's so important to repeat this message. Oakland's Hometown Hero Veterans Recognition Program will honor your Oakland veteran with a social media and digital sign graphic and feature on the Borough website. Applications are found on the Borough website, which is www.oakland-nj.org, or applications could be picked up at Borough Hall. To be eligible, you must live in Oakland and be honorably discharged from the military. You must include a DD-214 form, separation papers from the military, or proof of veteran organization membership. Applications may be submitted with an original photo via email to the Borough Clerk, Michael, or emailed with a hard copy photo with return prepaid envelope. Scanned photos must be in JPEG format and the highest resolution possible. Digital sign graphics will run for 7 days total. In order that we receive applications and social media graphics will be posted to the Borough's social media channels, and participants will be notified when your graphic will be posted. Should you have any questions, call Michael, our Borough Clerk, at 201-337-8111, and your extension is 2026. And we want to recognize our veterans, and thank you for serving to all our veterans. There is a park cleanup scheduled for September 17th. That's this Saturday. I'm sure one of the councilmen will give you some details on that. We have a styrofoam collection drive at Municipal Plaza. That's the following Saturday, September 24th, from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. And if you were interested and missed the senior citizen picnic last Tuesday, which was yesterday, you didn't miss it. It was adjourned because of rain. So you get to go to this annual Senior Citizens Festival, Tuesday, September 20th, at Van Zorn County Park from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. You have to be 60 years old or older, so the young people here don't listen. Lunch, craft fair, the zoo, music and entertainment, information tables, and much more. And if you have any questions, you can always contact Councilman Pignatelli, who is our senior citizen liaison. And If you are looking for part-time work for one day, I keep getting this in the mail, become a poll worker today and earn $300 on November 8th, 2022. So if you're not working, you have nothing to do, you want a quick $300, you can work the polls. You can apply to serve as a poll worker in New Jersey if you are a United States citizen and a resident of New Jersey, you are a registered voter in the county in which you reside, and you are not running as a candidate in this election, and at least only 16 years old. That's all you have to be, so you qualify. You raised your hand, you qualified. You have to be 16 years old. For more information, contact the Bergen County Board of Elections at 201-336-6225, or go to elections@co.bergen.nj.us. Now, I'm sure you didn't have an opportunity to write this down, so this is the flyer. It will be on our website, our Facebook page, or you can always email me at mayorschwager@oakland-nj.org. Come to my office, I'll give you a flyer with all the information, or email me and I will get back to you. And for the benefit of the fire department, we're adjusting our agenda so you don't have to listen to a lot of things. This is one of the most exciting things about being mayors. I get to swear in our new firefighters, and I thank you so much for what you do for our town. You're incredible, and I can't thank you enough. I rave about our fire department, I rave about our police department, and our first aid squad. We are so lucky. The residents of Oakland are so lucky. So, we're going to start with a junior firefighter, and that is Alexandra Pearson. And we need someone to hold the fire hose.
Mom.
Is that mom?
Dad.
Dad? Mom, dad, brother? Somebody?
There you go, Bill. Alexa, huh?
This is so exciting. Right hand up. You ready? When I say your name, you'll say your name. I.
Hi. Alexandra Pearson.
Mayor, if I may.
Oh, I said the right hand up. I'm sorry. Good thing I was reading. Good thing you were watching. We're going to start again. I'm nervous too. I was reading. A young girl. I'm so excited. Thank you. I
Alexandra Pearson,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution
and the Constitution
of the State of New Jersey,
of the State of New Jersey,
and that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same. I will bear true
and I will bear true
faith
faith
and
and
allegiance
allegiance
to the
to
same
the same
and the governments
and the governments
established
established
in the United States
in the United States
and in this state
and in this state
under the authority of the people,
under the authority of the people,
and that I will faithfully,
and that I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly
and justly
perform
perform
all the duties
all the duties
of the office of junior
of the
firefighter
office of junior firefighter
according to the best of my ability,
according to the best of my ability.
so help me God.
So help me God.
Come back.
Oh, sorry.
First you could sign, then you.
All right.
Good. I'm gonna put that up on this, okay? Now you can go. Joseph.
Congratulations, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Joseph, how do we pronounce the name?
Come on.
Amani.
He's gonna hold the fire now.
You're gonna hold, right, so who's holding the Bible? Second. Right hand. Okay.
You got it?
Right hand goes up. Ready? Oh, turn around. They want to see you. This is special. Do you want someone else to help you?
He's good.
He's okay?
You good? He's good.
All right, you can do this. Okay. Ready? When I say I, you say your name, not my name. I
I, Joseph Camati,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution
and the Constitution
of the State of New Jersey,
of the State of New Jersey,
and that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
and I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
and the governments
and the government
established in the United States
established in the United States
and in this state,
and in this state,
under the authority of the people,
under the authority of the people,
and that I will faithfully,
that I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly
and justly
perform all the duties
perform all the duties
of the office of firefighter
of the office of firefighter
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my abilities.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Okay, wait, you have to sign this?
Oh, okay.
Make it official. Sign your name, your address. Gonna make you work. No, we're doing so. Thank you.
Congratulations, welcome. Oh, sorry. I'm just gonna sit down. That's right.
Mayor, can I just say one thing? I just want to just acknowledge Alexa real quick. I knew Alexa since she was, I was coaching her in basketball and Bill and his family and everything else like that. Now it's interesting that she's grown up and joining the volunteer ranks. And also Joe, that was Joe's brother Pat, who's also a member of the fire department, and Joe was also a firefighter in Fort Lee. He's also the fire inspector, so he's a great addition to the borough and helping us out. So thank you very much, Joe and Alexa.
Thank you.
Thank you both. There's a lull now. Does that mean you're leaving?
Yes.
Okay. Enjoy. Thank you.
Thank you.
See you, Bill. Hey, bye, Alexa. Bye.
Now we'll go to our regular portion of the agenda. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to open to the public.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
If anyone wishes to speak, come up to the podium. The microphone's in the ceiling, so you just speak. No one wants to speak? Oh.
Michael Elston, 78 Manitou.
Hi.
It's just real quick. Just two things. A couple of months ago, I believe, we touched on an ordinance for Airbnbs.
Yes,
As the town, have we made any headway on that?
Don't we have
It's
a
on the
discussion
agenda.
on?
It's in our work session
Yes,
this evening.
tonight.
Okay. Yeah,
Perfect
that's-
timing.
Okay, I was just reading through, I was trying to
Yeah,
find it. And two is, I know, and we have a great Memorial Day parade. Is there any particular reason why we don't do a Veterans Day parade?
A what?
Veterans Day
Oh.
parade. Mr. Pigman.
In November. We do the flag ceremony by the Elks, does the flag ceremony. The American Legion does the Memorial Day parade. Veterans Day,
Yeah, we've never had one. Not that I can
and
remember.
we didn't even do it, yeah.
There's currently no celebration for it.
We didn't, No, and the other events are done by public events. I don't have an answer for you, and that's a good question.
All right, who normally does the parades? Is that events?
Public events does.
Public, you know Chopper, everybody knows Chopper. Chopper does the parade, the Elks does the Flag Day ceremony, they organize it at Veterans Park. We did do a 911 in Veterans Park, and that was organized by Mike Watt.
I'll give him a call.
If you were to come to a public events meeting, if you wanted to bring it up, you could bring it up at the public events meeting, and you know, it really comes down to manpower. And if it's something that we think we could do, we'd be happy to do it, but you know, that's
All right.
it's
No
what it is.
problem.
I think it would be wonderful, thank you for bringing that
All
up.
right, thank you.
That would be special. And we do have veterans in town, and it's important to recognize.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody else?
Jeff Morshinsky, 90 Skyline Drive, here in Oakland. I've been here numerous times concerning the ongoing problem with illegal dumping in the wetlands on my property by my neighbor. I received a letter here from Borough Attorney. I was a little disheartened by it because apparently he was not aware of the fact that my neighbor has dumped over 880 cubic yards of material in the wetlands, as estimated by the borough attorney. Made a couple of phone calls to Mr. Chakowski's office.
All right, this is Mr. Chakowski.
Yeah.
And Johnny Kim is our engineer.
Yes, the
Okay.
engineer is the one who is providing the information, and the borough attorney is the one who's ignoring the problem.
Well, I don't know how I ignore the problem.
880 cubic yards.
I understand that there were investigations. I understand that it was referred to the DEP. Based upon those investigations, which I did not conduct, I rely on the information provided to me by the borough administrator and borough engineer. I was advised to indicate to you that there is nothing that the borough will do, and that if you have any issues, you have a private right of action against your neighbor.
So you don't defend the borough ordinances that are issued here in Borough?
Well, I defend the ordinances to the extent that they are required to be defended. In this instance, there was no evidence that has been provided that would indicate that the borough would take any action.
All right,
This has gone, if I can finish, this has gone on for several years.
Yes.
I reviewed the documentation, and I advised you what the borough's position was. Now, you know, you're free to take whatever action you deem necessary, but, you know, I advised you what our investigations discovered.
So, I'm sorry, but 5972 would be for a minor soil moving permit. That would be between, I believe it's 25 cubic yards and 250
I'm not
cubic
going
yards.
to debate you, sir. I mean, you have the letter from the municipality. You know, as I said, you're free to take whatever action is necessary.
So, may I suggest that you get a time and you talk to him privately?
Well,
Rather than
I certainly
debate.
can do that, but I would probably schedule a time over the next 2 weeks.
I think that would be more beneficial than sitting here and debating and everybody's sitting here and you're
Well,
going to
I
go back.
think the other
No, you're going to go back and forth. So my suggestion is make a time with Mr. Chakowski and sit with him so that you're not rushed, you're not pushed by, you're not debating. And you could have I don't know if you want the engineer there at the same time, if you want the borough administrator, but that would be my suggestion. Sit down and just formally discuss it at the table.
I would love that.
Will you do
Why
that?
not? We'll set something up in Borough Hall.
Okay?
Can we have a commitment to set something up?
Yeah,
I mean, with a date, is it possible with the calendar now? Or is it-
within 2 weeks. I can't
Okay.
guarantee, you know, subject to everyone's availability.
Well, you're not having the whole council there.
No, but John, Rich, myself.
Right, our professionals.
Fine.
So, and they will, I assume they will have your contact information, and you have their contact information. So I'm going to ask our borough administrator to be the liaison between our attorney, our engineer, and our resident, and our borough administrator, which is you.
We'll set up a meeting.
Okay, Borough Hall?
Thank you.
You'll sit around the table, everybody will have their paperwork. You know, you don't have to worry about, you don't have the papers with you. Bring whatever paperwork you have. Brian will bring his paperwork, the engineer will bring his folder, whatever you need, except Borough Hall, so it's available to go and get the paperwork.
I placed an over request today,
Well, you'll have it by the meeting.
hopefully.
That's perfect.
Thank you.
So you'll work with
Yeah,
Richard,
we'll send it.
right, thank you. Anyone else?
Motion to close?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We have minutes for approval, the minutes from August 17, 2022. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve?
Second?
And there were no additions or changes? If not, roll call.
Councilman Kamala?
Yes.
Councilman McCann?
Abstain.
Councilman Pignatelli?
Yes.
Councilman Saliani?
Yes.
Councilman Sasinski?
Yes.
Councilman Talamini?
Yes.
We have minutes from the executive session of August 17, 2022. If there's going to be any discussion, it must be done in executive session. Will there be any discussion in executive session? If not,
Motion to approve?
Second.
roll call.
Councilman Kamala?
Yes.
Councilman McCann?
Yes.
Councilman Pignatelli?
Yes.
Councilman Saliani?
Yes.
Councilman Sasinski?
Yes.
Councilman Talamini?
Yes.
We had a special meeting on August 29, 2022. If the public didn't remember, this was the special board meeting we had at the senior center on the PFOA. Did everybody review the minutes, and if there is a motion to approve?
So moved?
Second?
Roll call.
Councilman Kamala?
Yes.
Councilman McCann?
Abstain.
Councilman Pignatelli?
Yes.
Councilman Saliani?
Yes.
Councilman Sasinski?
Yes.
Councilman Talamini?
Yes.
So now we have an arts committee and appointments. And it's a mayor and borough council appointment. They're all for 1 year. And the names are, since they're all vacancies, we have a lot of openings. Natasha Navidad Holmes, Judy Peretra, Allison Gleason, Alexandra Mazur, Tracy, excuse me, Tracy Vitola, April Macefield, Amy Eilert, Andrea Levy, Madhav Dua, I apologize if I pronounced it incorrectly, and Vilma Mccoy. I propose those names. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved?
Second?
Roll call.
Councilman Kamala?
Yes.
Councilman McCann?
Yes.
Councilman Pignatelli?
Yes.
Councilman Saliani?
Yes.
Councilman Sasinski?
Yes.
Councilman Talamini?
Yes.
And the rest is going to be exciting. We have 2 people who want to go on public events. And they are Vilma Murkoff and Chris Pawelko. And this is again a mayor and council appointment. So I propose those names. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve?
Second?
Roll call.
Councilman Kamala?
Yes.
Councilman McCann?
Yes.
Councilman Pignatelli?
Yes.
Councilman Saliani?
Yes.
Councilman Sasinski?
Yes.
Councilman Talamini?
Yes.
We have a motion, we have a vacancy on the Green Team, which is the Sustainable Oakland Green Team Committee. And Bill Eilert put in his name. There is a vacancy as an associate member. This is the mayoral appointment, so I appoint Bill. Then we have communications. And I think we had a resignation, right, from the newsletter.
The chairwoman.
And Heather, not Heather, Liz.
Liz
We're getting her
Lorente.
confused with the Chamber of Commerce. And so we have 2 vacancies. This is a mayor and borough council appointment. So I'm proposing the names of Carrie Silvanides and Amy Eilert. Got a motion?
Motion. Second.
Roll call.
Councilman Kamala.
Yes.
Councilman McCann.
Yes.
Councilman Pignatelli.
Yes.
Councilman Saliani.
Yes.
Councilman Slisinski.
Yes.
Councilman Talamini.
Yes.
I'm suggesting Kerry has the vacancy, the unexpired term ending in 2022 because of the newsletter, and we don't want to burn you out. And then you decide to still like it. And then Amy Eilert will be the 2023. So gives you a chance to really decide if this is, if you can do it. It's a lot of work, and thank you for taking over. Now we have some raffles. Raffle license 1432 for the Jelly Bean Foundation. It is a raffle to be held on October 8th. Proceeds will go to women and their families affected by breast cancer. There are motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And then the second raffle is raffle 1433, also the Jelly Bean Foundation. This raffle is also on October 8th. It'll be held, and it is for the proceeds to go to women and their families affected by breast cancer.
Motion approved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And we have resolutions. I'll do it as a consent agenda. If you wish any pulled out, just let me know at the end. 220. The 225 was added on, so does everybody have that? That is the Boswell Engineering Services for Allen Brook repairs. And that was added on, and you should have it on your desk, and also should be on your computer. 22235 is authorized refunds of a permit to Richard and Elizabeth Pierce, Block 4601, Lot 2, in the amount of $1,526.40. Authorized honorary street naming, that's 22253. And I'm going to read this. Frank Monaco was a longtime resident of Thackeray Drive and passed away in 2020. And whereas Mr. Monaco spent many years volunteering in recreation or contributing to the civic life of the community, you know, he worked with all the children in rec. His widow and neighbors have made a request to honor Mr. Monaco by adding a street sign above the sign identifying Thackeray Drive with another that would read Frank's Way. And it is, and it will not cost the taxpayers anything. All funds will be contributed by his neighbors and friends. And this will acknowledge Mr. Monaco's contributions and believe an honorary street sign is a fitting way to do so. And the sign will read Frank's Way. Very good. 22254, authorized agreement to conduct electronic tax sale. And this authorizes tax sales pursuant to the rules and regulations promulgated by the Director of Division of Local Government Services. And Oakland wishes to enter into contract with a vendor to conduct the 2022 online tax sale at a rate of $15 per listed property, not to exceed $9,000. Cancel capital grant balances, that's 22255. Whereas a certain capital grant receivables and capital grant improvement authorizations funded on the balance sheet that were previously authorized by the borough, and it's very necessary to formally cancel the receivable balances and their offsetting improvement. There are two accounts, 0455-920 for general capital, $20,959.12. CO 456-75100, flood acquisition, administration cost $20,959.12. 22256, cancel grant receivable balances. These are balances that are no longer necessary for the purposes originally created, and it's necessary to cancel the receivable balances and their offsetting appropriation balances from the balance sheet. It has to do with the 2022 Municipal Alliance and 2022 Municipal Alliance County, $161. 22257, authorized recreation field banner sponsorship program. This you've all heard from with recreation to help support the children playing in the recreation field games. And it is a field banner sponsorship program which will allow for businesses to feature their logo on a 6-foot by 3-foot uniform banner as supplied by the borough. It will be offered at a rate of $500 with a discount for 3 sports seasons, combined rate of $1,200. And the borough has determined that it's in the best interest of the borough to implement such a program to raise needed non-tax revenue. And it was proposed by the Oakland Recreation Commission, and that is that. 22-258. Confirm grant submission to the Bergen County Mini Clean Communities Program. And it is a program offering Bergen County Mini Clean Communities Grants Program to municipalities to sponsor programs to eliminate litter, and that is helping with our cleanup on Saturday. 22-259, authorized refund of recreation fees. The Mann family, TGA Summer Camp, $258. Abdo family, 9 Minnehaha, $225 for football. The Pavola family, TGA Summer Camp, $258. The Meyer family, cheerleading, $165. The Pazor family, $200 for basketball, and the Mohani family, soccer, $80. 22-260, authorized refund of taxes to Ricky Giuliano, owner of 12 Cardinal Drive, Block 4303, Lot 3. He was declared permanently disabled by the Department of Veterans Affairs, so he is granted a full property tax exemption as a permanently disabled veteran, and it's effective July 26, excuse me, 2022, and he will get a refund in the amount of $2,215.02. And to Mr. Ricky Giuliano, thank you for the service you gave to our country. 22-261, confirm grant submission to the United States Department of Transportation Bridge Investment Program for the superstructure replacement of Patriots Way Bridge. And we're applying for grant funding, and these are federal funds. And that this resolution permits us to apply. 22-262, award contract to Agnoli Engineering for floodplain manager services for the year 2022. He submitted proposal August 28, 2022. He's complied with the Borough of Oakland's pay-to-play. It's for a professional service with which no public bidding is required, and the CFO has said that rates are available. It's a rate of $150 per hour. 22-263, award contract to Boswell Engineering for engineering services for water main improvements. This is for Acorn Street, Florence Avenue, Birch Avenue Water Main Improvements Project. Proposal is dated September 7, 2022. Total cost not to exceed $48,000. Broken down, data collection and surveying $10,000, design $35,000, NJDEP Highlands exemption $3,000, and our CFO has certified funds are available. 22-264, award vehicle auction bids. There were bids for auction, online public auction. We have equipment that was out for bidding. There were winning bidders and winning bid price. The 2005 Ford Crown Victoria to John Morris Rowe, $1,300. Bobcat back hoe attachment. Robbie Garden, $1,952. Carchip power washer to Robert Stillman, $650. Billy Goat brush cutter, Anthony Biazzi, $601. A stone cement mixer, Brian Spellman, $1,000. Toro Grounds Master, Russell Brooks, $1,100. And a 2001 Ford F-250, Matthew Habib, $1,650. Those were the winning bids. 22-265, consent to treatment works approval permit application for block 3603, lot 4, commonly known as Amalux at 178 Bauer Drive in the Industrial Park. 22-266, authorized chapter 159 for Bergen County Mini Clean Community Grants Program. And it's for another municipal park cleanup. and this way we can amend our 2022 budget for the amount of $300 that we will be getting. 22-267, resolution requesting permission for the dedication by rider for the Borough of Oakland National Opioid Settlement Trust Fund required by NJSA 48:5-29. And as you know, the state had a suit going and participated in the National Opioid Settlement, from which the state will receive half of the $641 million award from distributors and manufacturers, with other half going to participating local governments throughout New Jersey. Oakland will be receiving their portion of the award in an undetermined annual payments as part of the settlement. And I thought we had a number.
There is a number.
There is a number. The first year amount which we have received was $3,367. That may increase slightly the way the settlement is structured over a number of years, which I believe it's like 18 years worth of payouts, over $21 billion nationally.
Right, thank you. 22-268, award contract for the purchase of police vehicles. The borough is in need of purchasing two 2023 Ford Utility Interceptor police vehicles. The winner, Ford of Cherry Hill, has the state contract. The cost for each vehicle is $42,390 with desired options, and our CFO has certified that funds are available. 22-269, authorized refund of other fees and permits in the amount of $200.70. The CFO has verified that the amount is due and that the funds are available. And this goes to Ryan C. Howell at 39 Massasoit Trail in Oakland. 22-270, award contract to Agnoli Engineering for engineering services for Allen Brook repairs. Tony, listening? Okay. And its need for engineering services for the Allen Brook repairs project. He sent in a proposal dated August 28th, 2022. Cost not to exceed $7,500, and the CFO has certified the funds are available. Are there any you wish to be pulled out?
The Patriots Way Bridge one, 26.
I can't hear you.
261?
261
And 253.
and 253. 253 is the honorary street naming, and 261 is the grant submission to the DEP on the bridge. On the others, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilman Kamala.
Yes.
Councilman McCann.
Yes.
Councilman Pinkatelli.
Yes.
Councilman Saliani.
Yes.
Councilman Zasinski.
Yes.
Councilman Talamini.
Yes.
Okay, 253.
I just wanted to take the time to say how great I think this is that we're taking this time out to name a street after Frank Monaco. At least honorarily, and he did a lot for the town, and it's he's one of those people that everybody needs in their lives. He's just a fighter, and did what he felt was right, and he did so much for rep and so much for the town. It's just I just think it's a nice thing.
He was an advocate for residents. He was loud. We all know he was loud. In fact, I was describing this to someone the other day, that he would give me a heads up that he was going to come to the council meeting and complain to me about something I did, or complain about something the council did, and then, okay, and then afterwards we go out for coffee. And I knew he was going to do that because he was an advocate. He fought for everybody and the kids. And he was went into the Hall of Fame, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was. Yes,
Sports Hall of Fame. Anybody else want to say something about
I want to
Frank?
echo
I mean, this is perfect. Frank's way. There's no other way than Frank's way.
I want to echo Mr. Talmini's comments and then yours, Mayor. I dealt with Frank in my years in the Rec Commission. Sometimes he'd come there and there'd be a fight back and forth, but at the end of the day, it was always from a good spot. He did it from a kind heart, and I think this is just a proper way for someone who did so much for the town to be on it.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I also want to say, Frank, I know you're probably listening up there, but you, as the mayor stated, you would always fight for the residents, no matter what the issue was. And you were a real advocate for Thackeray Way and your residents and your neighbors up there. And clearly you were advocate for recreation, as Steve Saliani had just mentioned, being in the Hall of Fame. So Frank, we miss you, and certainly it's well deserved.
And he was convinced PSE&G would do anything they could to dig up that freeway, right?
Yeah.
Every time, yes. So I'm going to ask for a motion and a second and a vote.
So moved.
Second. Sorry.
Roll call.
Councilman Kamala.
Yes.
Councilman McCann.
Yes.
Councilman Pignatelli.
Yes.
Councilman Saliani.
Yes.
Councilman Sasinski.
Yes.
Councilman Talamini.
Yes.
And Barbara, I know you're watching, and I know how you feel because we spoke about this, so this is great. This is really great. And I know Frank is smiling. All right, 261.
So just a couple of quick questions. I see that we're applying for the federal grant for the bridge. Is there an amount we're applying for?
Yeah, so it's basically the net between Boswell's latest cost estimate, and the amount of DEP fund, the amount of state DOT funding that we already have on hand. So that estimated gap right now is $6,876,830.
And obviously, I know we just filed it on the 8th of September. Is there a time frame?
Not as of right now, but you know, we have several of these in the hopper, as you know. This is just the latest one. We have member designated project submittals in with our state senators, as well as a LAIF grant in which each state NJDOT that we're hoping to hear from in relatively short order.
Thank you.
I'd just like to commend our administrative staff, Mayor, and our borough engineer for helping us with this submittal. Residents have to know that we're constantly looking for grants, and thank God we have a staff that is familiar with the process and applies for us. So thank you to all of you. Appreciate it.
Okay, so is that a motion?
Yes, motion.
Second?
Second.
Roll call.
Councilman Kamala.
Yes.
Councilman McCann.
Yes.
Councilman Pignatelli.
Yes.
Councilman Saliani.
Yes.
Councilman Sasinski.
Yes.
Councilman Talamini.
Yes.
Great, thank you. So now we are up to final adoption. These are ordinances that were originally introduced, and then everybody had the opportunity to get a copy. And so tonight is the final adoption. So we open to the public for anyone who wishes to speak, and then there will be a final adoption. So first one is 22 Code 890, an ordinance amending Chapter 2 entitled Administration, Section 2-5, entitled Police Department, as to amend the table of organization to add the position of Class 3 Special Police Officer. Is there a motion to open to the public?
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Does anyone wish to speak on this ordinance? Would anybody like an explanation of this ordinance? Our borough administrator, since...
Sure. So, as you know, in the past, we've applied for grant funding for an SRO. We tried to work with the schools on that, and that didn't materialize. So we're kind of taking a look and some discussions with the Board of Education at perhaps bringing on special 3 law enforcement officers to act as security in our schools. Ultimately, that will be a decision by the Board of Education, subject to their funding availability. So I don't know ultimately what's going to happen with that. We figured in order to keep that moving forward and put ourselves in a position to effectuate that, should the decision be to move ahead, that we had to amend our ordinance to provide for the position itself. So all this ordinance actually does is put Class 3 special officers into the police table of organization that sets forth in the Borough Code.
And that's like K through 8 schools, correct?
This is the K through 8 district we're talking about. Yes.
So now that you know what this is, does anybody wish to speak? If not, motion to close to the public.
So moved?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, this is a motion to adopt, final adoption of amending Chapter 2 entitled Administration, Section 2-5 entitled Police Department, amending the table of organization to add the position of Class 3 Special Police Officer.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilman Kamala.
Yes.
Councilman McCann.
Yes.
Councilman Pignatelli.
Yes.
Councilman Saliani.
Yes.
Councilman Sasinski.
Yes.
Councilman Talamini.
Yes.
So ordinance 22-891 and 22-892, I was a little confused, and I'm sure Councilman Pignatelli was also confused. Because at the planning board, they wanted a table, and then the next thing I know, it's on the table here, it's not tabled. And and after the letter was sent by planning board, so could you explain
And
this?
maybe if I could explain, I guess the planning board meeting was Thursday.
Right.
Mr. Lyden, the borough planner, did call me on Friday and indicated that he made a mistake.
Oh.
And that mistake is that the ordinances that were submitted to the planning board were previously reviewed by the court-appointed master. And these are amendments to the ordinances that we agreed to based upon that review. So just to confirm that, I spoke with the court-appointed master on Monday, and I also sent her the ordinances that were listed for adoption, and she had no further comment in that regard. That being the case, there is no reason to table the ordinances. The ordinances are consistent with the amended housing element fair share plan, which has been adopted by the planning board and endorsed by the governing body. So I would suggest that we move forward. There is nothing inconsistent with the housing element that would preclude the adoption of these two ordinances.
And if anybody's been coming to the planning board meetings, you understand what's going on Mccoy Road with the 151 market rate townhouses and the 40 affordable houses. It's here. It's not going anywhere.
Mayor, question?
Yes.
Mr. Chakowski, so what was the confusion on this? It was just his interpretation?
I think Mr. Lyden was not sure if the version of the ordinance that was being reviewed by the planning board was previously reviewed by the master.
Okay.
And it was.
Okay, thank you.
I thought he had some changes also. That's why I agree with the mayor. I'm confused because...
Yeah, that's what I said, I wrote table to
As I said, to set that up, is Steve called me and said that he made a mistake.
That was after
after
then
the-
Joe Russo, the attorney,
Right.
wrote the letter
Right.
saying, hold up.
Right.
So he's okay with us moving forward then?
Yes, I spoke
He
with
is.
Steve on Friday, I spoke
Okay.
with the master on Monday, I believe Councilman McCann has a question also.
I do. This
Are you
is
confused too?
Well, no, I'm not confused. I actually understand it. But my question is this consistent with, are you comfortable, and I believe you reviewed it, Brian, you're consistent that this is according to what we've agreed to in the fair share plan, is part of a consent order? Is that correct?
Yeah, it's part of our settlement agreement, and as part of that settlement agreement, what emanated out of that was a housing element fair share plan,
Right.
which was recently amended in the past month.
Okay.
So the two ordinances you have are consistent.
Okay.
You know, if there's one thing I'm confident about, it's this, because I'm looking to get rid of affordable housing as quick as possible.
Understood.
We are, every town, and you read it in the paper, it's daily. Every town is dealing with this on a daily basis. You're advised, don't go to court, don't fight it, negotiate as much as possible, work together and have a consent order, and that's what this is all about.
Mr. Chakowski, one other question. Does this close the chapter on this, or are there more, is there more coming down as
I
far as?
don't believe there's anything else that will be required from what I've seen. We are discussing one site on West Oakland where there may be revisions, but we have not concluded those discussions.
Thank you.
And that doesn't mean there, I was at the League of Municipality breakfast and round 5, are we up to round 5? Was it 4?
Round 4 is...
I missed the 4th, where round 4 is
Right,
coming.
round 3 was 25 years, and that rapidly is going to expire in June of 1999.
I thought
24.
June of 24.
24. So there are more rounds coming, so it is in our best interest to negotiate and sign a consent order. Because I'm told that when we go to court, we don't know what's going to happen, and it could be worse.
I think you do know what's going to happen.
It could be worse. Thank you.
You do know what's going to happen, and it's not good.
Just as a note, at the next meeting, we will probably give an update on affordable housing because there was an action filed in the appellate division to compel the governor to make appointments to the board so that the
Take it out of the
agency
courts.
can go back and function. but
We at the Bergen League of Municipalities sent in a letter and a resolution for that. Okay, so now we're at, I guess this doesn't matter. 22 Code 891, an ordinance to amend, supplement, and revise the Code of the Borough of Oakland, Land Use Chapter 59, entitled Land Use and Zoning. Is there a motion to open to the public?
So, second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Would anybody like to speak on this?
And, yeah, Mayor, maybe
Please
if I
feel
may,
free.
is that what will I explain?
Why don't you explain?
I'll explain. All this does in the Affordable Housing Overlay District is that it would permit residential in the first floor in the CBD 1, CBD 2, subject to certain standards.
Now, would anybody like to speak? If not, motion closed.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion and motion for final adoption.
So moved. Second.
Roll call.
Councilman Kamala.
Yes.
Councilman McCann.
Abstain.
Councilman Pinkatelli.
Yes.
Councilman Saliani.
Yes.
Councilman Sasinski.
Yes.
Councilman Talamini.
Yes.
22 Code 892 is also part of this. It has to do with the land use and zoning, and it amends our ordinance and supplements. And could you explain that one?
What this does is this is an amendment to a building height for the property that we've called the Gabrellian tract. It's the Roper, R-O-P-P, yard tract, which is behind the shopping center where Oakland Hardware is. And we did have a concept plan, and we clarified what the height was, and the height is 54 feet above the average grade. The agreement that is being negotiated will have substantial public improvements, such as the bypass road that everyone has been looking for. So it's been recommended to proceed with this.
All right, the motion is open to the public.
So moved.
So, second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody wish to speak on the height? If not, roll call, I'm sorry, motion to close.
So moved?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to amend and adopt.
So moved?
Second.
Roll call.
Councilman Kamala.
No.
Councilman McCann.
Abstain.
Councilman Pinkatelli.
Yes.
Councilman Saliani.
No.
Councilman Sasinski.
Yes.
Councilman Talamini.
Yes.
So what's the number?
3 to 1, so it works.
All right, because abstentions go with,
No, the abstention is that it's not carried. It's a 3 to 2.
okay.
You wouldn't carry it with the majority.
Oh, no, okay. All right, passes. Work session.
We don't need his vote.
Okay. Work session. Short-term rentals. You listening?
So, Mayor, I know this came up, and I guess I had to think back as to what happened. Several years back, we were requested to prepare an ordinance that would ban short-term rentals, which is a rental for less than 30 days. That is similar to ordinances that have been enacted by neighboring communities such as Wyckoff and Franklin Lakes. When this was raised at the council, previous councilmen had concerns, didn't know whether it should be regulated or whether it should be prohibited, as in accord with the form of ordinance that is in the packet. So, doing a little more research, it appears that the banning of short-term rentals by our neighboring communities still exists, but I always ask the question, because I'm concerned about regulations, is there an issue that needs to be regulated? Issues came up in other communities about transient uses and the like, but it's more prevalent in vacation communities and the like. Other issues that have arose that you saw in the newspaper is the rental of pools over the summer for hours or days or whatever. So those are certain concerns. I don't know if there have been any complaints, issues with regard to short-term rentals, but that may set the stage for the discussion.
And we never did Airbnb.
We never, it basically was tabled and it never moved forward.
I understand we don't, we're not necessarily a vacation community, However, we do have a lake that people do use in the community, and I understand that there has been a problem with an owner that lets his rentals use the beach club without getting a pass to do that. So I have had a complaint regarding that, and I think someone else, did you get one last year?
I'm not sure.
I don't know if this would protect that. Wouldn't that be with the beach club?
Well, this person rents the house out for 30 days or less sometimes.
Then this ordinance would cover if it's 30 days or less.
Brian,
Yes.
a question. What's the problem we're trying to solve? That's what I don't understand. I mean, there's an ordinance, it's always...
But that's the question I always ask. I think what it was is that there was a reaction when this first occurred, and municipalities wanted to bar short-term rentals, either for real or perceived issues. It's like what I will call neighborhood stability. We want stable residents so we know who's there. We don't want people coming in and out on a weekly basis. It's more of a comfort zone. So I always ask the question, is this something you want to prohibit? And if you want to prohibit, why?
Mayor, could we ask for public input?
Yes, but I have a question. Would this bring in Airbnb? I mean, the towns
Yes.
that have this,
This covers.
does it also cover Airbnb?
Yes,
Okay.
it covers Airbnb.
So, Mayor?
Yeah.
I believe when we addressed this several years ago, and Mr. Chakowski can be honest, and Pat, members of the council that are on here, the issue was we were dealing with rooming houses in certain areas of the community, including students that were coming in from Ramapo College. And so we had a couple resident complaints about that. And we didn't move forward on that. Is this the same? This is strictly for Airbnb, or is this short-term rentals? Or
This doesn't address rooming houses, and we did have a conversation earlier.
Mhm.
And unfortunately, I was not able to locate it, but we did discuss it.
We did.
And I believe we either circulated or adopted an ordinance removing rooming houses from our ordinance because it was a permitted use. So I have to do further research on this, but this will not address rooming houses. A rooming house has a specific definition in our ordinance, and it is permitted in certain residential zones in Oakland, or at least it was. It may still be.
There was a rooming house on Franklin Ave. Everybody's looking at me. Carnation? You know what I'm talking about?
No.
No, next to Paper Brothers? Think about going on Franklin Ave.
But that's,
Oh, yes.
I thought that was a,
that was a charity from the church, right?
No, it wasn't. I can tell you it wasn't. I know firsthand knowledge.
is it? Yeah. Isn't it a,
I think it's gone now. I mean, they cannot do it anymore, the state can. That's why I know it's for a fact. It
Oh,
was a
okay.
rooming house.
but yeah, I thought it was for
What?
ambulatory patients that couldn't, oh, okay.
No.
All right.
Someday
Okay.
I'll tell you the stories.
I understand.
Can we please sit where we are?
Yeah, so
I think there are two issues. Number one, I have to research the rooming house issue for Councilman Kamala. That I will do, and we can discuss
Well,
that
Carnation's finished. I'll have to worry about Carnation.
at a future date. But now we're on the short-term rentals.
Right, so if I can too, because council was discussing this literally right before the pandemic, like the month before. I mean, from what I recall, the conversation started out about rooming houses and boarders.
I thought it was started
And
with
the
Airbnb.
short-term rentals kind of got wrapped into that, and I think that kind of then became the focus. I don't believe we acted on either. I think this just kind of got put to the side at the start of the pandemic, and they were trying to pick it back up. I would agree that probably based on complaints over the years that rooming houses, boarding houses, probably something that we want to look to perhaps take some action on. I reached out to my staff to see if they had received any quality of life complaints about Airbnbs. There are only a couple that are listed right now on their website. The police department do not have any complaints on record. Code enforcement also do not have any complaints on record, although they indicated that they've been getting calls weekly from investors that were asking about whether or not we banned Airbnb. So there is some interest in people coming into, perhaps that'll expand going forward.
Well, I'm going to ask the council if, to deviate from our agenda, if there are motion to open to the public to hear, would like to hear some of the questions on
Just
this.
before we go, so if we were to do nothing, and so people that are using their homes for short-term rentals, and they're continuing, and we're not having an issue, I mean, I'm sure there's plenty of people that do this, and it doesn't affect anybody. It doesn't, except that the person that owns the house makes a little extra money. But then, if we started to have a problem and we passed an ordinance, would the person who's renting it out right now, would they be able to continue to rent it out, or would we be able to stop it all?
You'd be able to stop it because
Right,
it's not a zoning ordinance, it's a police power ordinance.
Okay.
Plus, by that time, people will be out.
There would be no grandfathering.
Right, that's what
Correct.
So then, to me, just as far as I can tell, we don't really have an issue with the short-term rentals. So why would we prohibit it? I mean, if it becomes a problem, well then, okay. I don't know that we have this huge thing. I mean, I could be wrong.
Well, we're going to find out, because we're here from.
But to me, to ban something just because seems a little overreacting.
And what,
I was going to say what Russ said. I mean, to me, one of the things that we bring to the council is, Mayor, we had this discussion a couple of months ago. Before we do anything, the question is, what are we trying to fix? What's the problem? Is the problem real? I mean, lots of people in local government, state government, and federal government pass laws for constituents. It seems to me that there's always a step missing from that process, and that is this a real problem or not? And since this is coming under, and I would agree with our borough attorney, that this is a police power action. So the only issue would be, if this problem or perceived problem started to become bigger, could that be addressed? And I think that's the danger, that's the only risk that was identified by Mr. Talamini. I just don't feel comfortable. I mean, I would love to look into it to see if there is a real problem. To me, one or two complaints doesn't warrant, banning something. Whereas, I mean, who knows what the nature of those complaints
well,
are?
what triggered it now?
I have no idea.
Rick?
I think Councilman Pignatelli asked for discussion, just to kind of pick it up.
Oh,
because
you triggered it.
Yeah, well, we
Okay, so
had
long
discussed it about 18 months ago,
Yes.
and we dropped it. And someone asked me a question about it, and I said, well, it's a good workshop item.
Got it.
So, would you like to deviate from the agenda and open it to the public? Your motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Do you want to speak on, because we'd love to hear what you have to say.
Michael Ilston, 78 Manitou. I think there's a little word theater, saying short-term rentals, Airbnb, all these different things. All I know is I live in a small section of town, Manitou Ave. I know all my neighbors. I know neighbors 2 and 3 streets on both sides. And I'm not here to do the police officer's job, but when a certain house, because of the profitability, they're starting to change their single-family homes into either multi-family homes, second entrances, and the whole thing, well, I don't see a problem yet, so I don't see a reason to have to fix it. If it happened next to any one of your homes, you would find a problem with it. Different cars every week. Transient people, not bad, not good, just unknown. And then when they walk in your yard, or throw garbage in your yard, all our neighbors, nobody wants to start a problem. So everybody keeps quiet. Nobody says anything. Nobody thinks they should call the cops until obviously the noise elevates till it's late at night. The problem is, we're getting things on our phones, alerts on our phones, alerts on the website. Lock your car doors. I didn't move to Oakland, New Jersey, so I have to lock my car doors at night in my own driveway or in my own garage. But when 3, 4 houses down from you, there's different cars there every single week. And it's always, it's a vacation. Some people, I'm sure, use it for work, but there's never one car. It's always 4 or 5 cars, and they come and they go. So just think before you say you don't want to fix a problem before there is one. If it happened next on your street, I guarantee you that you'd want an ordinance to stop it. It has nothing to do with hotels or boarding houses or any of that other creative word, theater. I think if you're a commercial building, a hotel, something, and you're deemed that type of occupancy, it's fine. But I don't need it in my residential zone, on my street, and my neighbors don't want it.
Are you saying this house is used as a rental?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Sometimes with the homeowner there, sometimes not. But there's always different cars, it causes congestion, sometimes overnight street parking. So then again, now our police officers have to work. On my street, I don't think, even though I don't call it in, shame on me, I parked on the street and I didn't get a ticket. I'm sure the policeman pulled my plates and say I live there. My brother,
What is your address?
You already said it.
you know, I mean, it's you know, and I'm just saying before there's an issue, because I would rather err on the side of safety and community. We're always talking about community, and just keeping my neighborhood small and nice, and I know everybody walks their dogs. I'd rather err on the side of safety and just say no Airbnbs. And I understand that there may be people that think it's good to be profitable, but I care about my neighbors and my community more than I do about one neighbor making a couple extra bucks. And it's more than a couple. It's enough that they're turning around and they're changing their homes, they're changing entrances, renting pools, all of that stuff.
That's awful, because
I just think it's something that the board should
there's
do.
so much liability with that. Would this include pool rental?
No.
I mean,
It doesn't.
No, the pool rental is something new. I mean, we would have to add that. And I think probably not to use wordsmithing or theater. The way that it's typically defined is a short-term rental. That's what it is. And that's what you're trying to regulate. And it's defined in the draft ordinance as a rental for less than 30 days, whether you're in the house or not. You can't rent a room, you can't rent your house.
And I do want to say, if I get an anonymous letter about someone's property, I ignore it. I will not answer an anonymous letter. If you don't have enough courage to sign your letter, I'm not going to bother reading it. But if one of your neighbors would give me a description and a letter with the address of the house that you are referring to, just send it to me. I will then make sure our property maintenance guy gets out there, our ordinance people get out there, and that's how we can work around it. I have a house, I live on a little dead-end street, and poor Richard, he's always hearing me call, because right on the corner, coming out of my street, there is a vacant house. And I've got the name of the owner, and I am constantly calling him to maintain the property. The grass was growing so high, it was a hazard getting out of my street to make a turn. And the neighbors were complaining because the fences were broken, the children were climbing into the backyard, and there's a pool that, I can't imagine what's underneath that cover. It's got to be at least 5, almost 6, 7 years not managed. And so I make sure they go out there. Do you know that the house is being managed now? And you could come out of the street and see, because the grass is cut. Someone on your street, just send me the letter with their name. I don't divulge the name, just send me with the address, and I'll make sure the appropriate people in the town take care of it. Because it's important. Also, it devalues your house. If you have houses around you that are not being maintained, and people are looking to sell their house, and they look at your neighbor's house and go, oh, why would I want to live next to that house? So it's important for all of us. It's important to maintain your house, and that's why we have property maintenance. Now, getting back to rentals, do you want to speak about short-term rentals? Sorry. And I had to turn the microphone off.
There's a problem with the sound, we can't figure, I think it was maybe the court, there's a amplifier down there, but it's broadcast okay. William Sisti, 12 Eagle Crest. Currently, as of tonight, there's like 2 houses on Airbnb in Oakland. One's a house and one's a room. I think we have to be very careful when we start limiting people's rights, what they can do in their house. If you want to discuss maybe from an investment standpoint, people buying houses and using strictly as Airbnb when the owner is not there, that's a motel. That's a rental property. I'm sure you have internal ordinances. If someone's doing an Airbnb and there's quality of life issues, I think we have enough ordinances on the books now for noise, quality, house maintenance to address those. I don't think we should be getting involved in private homeowners' rights to rent out a room to make some extra money. With the pool thing, listen, if I had a pool and I rented it, I'm a big boy, I got insurance. If you rented it from me, you know the risks, and someone might get hurt. We can't solve every problem. I don't think we should get involved in that either. If there's 50 cars pull up a giant pool party, there might be some ordinance or noise things that gets created parking on the street. But I think we should err on the side of less laws. There's no problems now. Maybe we want to look at investment properties, guy buying a house, strictly an Airbnb, you know, that you might want to look at, or you can. The 1 or 2 I saw in Oakland, one looks like a house that is already as a house, as a full rental as the house, but the owner is unoccupied. I didn't read the whole sighting on Airbnb, but that's what it looks like. So you'd have that guy there would be off the market. So that's my opinion.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have an ordinance on, I thought we had an ordinance on the number of cars in the driveway or on the grass?
I don't think you're
On the
permitted
grass?
on the grass, are you?
We don't have one that I'm aware of that limits the total number of vehicles.
Yeah, I don't think you limit the number
No,
of
you can't
vehicles,
park
but
in
their
front of
location. John is shaking his head.
That's a no? Because I, you know, in the towns I prosecuted, they're constantly giving tickets of cars parked on grass. And
It'd have to be
that would
registered vehicles too.
Yes, they have to be registered.
Well, yeah, those are distinct issues, but the number is not regulated.
Right.
That's
As
why-
long as you could put it into an appropriate location.
So that's why if we get a location, we can follow up on it.
So just with now with the short-term rentals, they brought up, so I know like in condos and stuff like that, the condo associations puts parameters on rental, stuff like that. So like you can't buy, most condo associations, you can't buy a condo and right away rent it out. You have to live there for a year before you can rent it out. Is that something that we could do? I don't seem to have a problem with that so people aren't buying homes with the specific purpose of making them short-term rentals.
The answer would be no, because that would be an infringement on someone's right to
that's
contract
business, that's
and use
business.
their property. You know, there's a distinction here, because we keep hearing about, let's say, investment property. You know, somebody can go on Manitou Avenue and buy 10 houses and rent them all for 1 year each.
Yeah.
And that will never be able to stop that. All this is short-term rental. The idea is the turnover. So that's the 30 days. Can't rent for less than 30 days. But if someone buys a property for investment purposes, they certainly can rent it.
You have to be under the microphone.
Joanne Orzo Ashkenazi, 501 Ramapo Valley Road. I say Orzo because Mr. Kamala, as a former student, recognizes me by that name.
How long ago was that?
Too many years ago, okay? But I must say, the only thing I ever saw was the top of his head. He was so shy, he would never lift his head. I am also a director of Ramapo Mountain Lakes Community, and we have had this problem, right? There's a gentleman in the lake area who rents out 2 of the houses as vacation rental by owners. And we've had a lot of trouble with him in the past couple of years. He has told the people that rents those houses as vacation rentals that they are allowed to use Crystal Lake, and he's never paid for them to be on Crystal Lake. He's never joined Crystal Lake, but he tells them, go ahead and swim. They've come over to our raft in the middle, in their tubes and their refs. They've come up on the beach. They've tried to barbecue on the beach. We've had to tell them they're not members. They're looking for the owner. They said the owner told them to come on the beach, that he's there, and he's not, all right? The last time we had one of the policemen was called to get him off the property, and he said to the policeman, no, I'm allowed. So the woman who runs the lake club, rather than have any problems, just let him in. But he has been. He's gone swimming off the boat launch in his underwear. All right, so it's a problem, and it could be a problem that will grow. So I would like you to address it and to see what you can do with that. It may only be 1 or 2 houses at this point, but it could grow and grow and grow. And as the lake, we want to keep that lake for Oakland residents to enjoy.
What do they do at the shore? When you need passes to run the beach and
I have a
everything
question.
else? Do you have to buy,
There's
when you
somebody
rent a
running
house,
it.
when you rent a house at the beach?
Sure. Yes. You have to buy passes.
I have a question. What do your bylaws say about that?
We didn't have any. We're going to change the bylaws now. We intend to write him a letter. Our lawyer is going to write him a letter and say he's not to use the lake unless he joins it.
Because what
And
you're
we're
describing
going-
sounds like a bylaws problem.
It's not a bylaws problem because you have to be a member. You have to pay your dues to be on that,
Yeah, but that's a
to use
homeowner's
that
bylaw
beach club.
association.
to
Yeah,
use
but that's
the
what I'm
lake.
saying. You're saying what I'm saying. It's a bylaws. You don't have bylaws, but that's a problem for the association. So it's a problem that can be addressed by the association.
It can be.
With the proper bylaws and with notification and fines for the members that don't comply with your bylaws, right?
Right.
Okay.
Should be.
I just want to understand
But
that.
I think it could also be a town problem.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you. Anybody else? No. We opened it to everybody.
Yeah, I was just
We
going to say
deviate.
something real quick.
You have to give your name and address.
Steve Panosian, 69 Glen Gray. I had asked where he lived in proximity of Manitou School, and he said within a block. So I'm floating an idea that perhaps for safety issues, that perhaps you limit those type of rentals.
The radius around the school.
That's right.
I don't think we'd be able to do
I don't think
They
you
did away
can.
with that with DWI.
that.
Well,
The
it's a
state
safety-
decided that you can't do that
I have a
driving while
question.
intoxicated.
I have another question for Mr. I'm sorry to get your last name.
Panosian.
Pinocchio, and this is the second time it's been said, I hear the word safety issues and concerns in this people, but what can you tell this council? What specifically happened? What is outside of you don't like strangers or you're uncomfortable with strangers? What can you articulate? What specific safety issue you're referring to?
I was just making a comment based on what he was saying.
Well, anyone.
I'm making
'cause it's-
I'm making assumptions that
Right.
he looks younger than me. My kids are all grown up. The only issues I got in my neighborhood on Glen Gray's with
No,
the
again,
beer.
okay, so Mike, I hear what you're saying, but I don't see any safety issues. I just see a concern, but it's in your mind. What can you point to evidence that says, hey, we had a problem?
We're being told to lock our doors at night, and our cars are being broken into.
Who's telling you to lock your doors?
Oakland Police Department.
And why is that?
Because cars are being broken into.
And you think that's because of the people that are renting?
Is it?
I don't know, I'm asking you.
I'm asking you.
I have no idea. I
Do
don't
you
live
have
there.
any Airbnbs on your street?
You're the one who wants to change.
Right.
I'm asking you for evidence.
I don't know. That's the only variable. I know all my neighbors. I don't see any of them. I have a Ring doorbell. I can kind of tell from silhouettes what look like my neighbors. And when some of the cars have been broken into, they weren't any of the residents of the street. It's the only variable. Now, do people from out of town come in? Sure, but I can't stop that. But I'm saying I would rather err on the side of safety. I don't want any more police power, and I'd like to limit as many laws as we can, especially with homeownership. But somebody's going to have to, when something does bad happen, then what? Then who's going to?
But I'm asking, again, I'm just trying to understand the problem.
Okay.
Because we agree on limited laws and
Right.
stuff. But
When I go home tonight, there'll be different cars in this driveway than there was a week ago.
understood. Now, whose cars are being broken into in your neighborhood?
My neighbors on Pawnee and on Manitou.
How many break-ins have there happened?
I don't have the actual statistics on me.
Okay, I'm going to find out.
How many?
I'll find out.
I'll bring you something up under new business when we get to that.
Yeah,
That was-
So we can find out. I know, it's not that I don't want you to be safe, I'm trying to understand, because it may not be related to that. It may not be. And so,
But it could be.
well, you know, could be, you know, I could be 70 years old if I was born 10 years earlier, or 8 years earlier. It could be, you know, you're asking us to pass a law, okay, restricting the alienation of property on a maybe and a could be. And I,
Right.
if, as a conservative person with regard to limited government, I need a little bit more. So let's look at the evidence and look at the break-ins that you suggested and see if there's a correlation.
Yes.
Jeff Smirczynski, 90 Scotland Drive. Wouldn't the rental of the property change it from residential to commercial?
No.
Why not?
Still a residential use. There's no distinction between.
But you're renting it out for profit.
Right, but that doesn't matter. It's still being used as a residential home.
Would it require additional insurance?
That is up to the homeowner.
Definitely.
Okay. And what happens when someone falls into a pool and dies? Does that address your safety issue?
That's why I'll never rent my pool out.
Okay.
How about
But
just
that's
the
up to the
pool?
homeowner.
It's a good point, but, you know, that is, you know, between the landlord and the tenant. You know, New Jersey views residential property by the characteristics of the use and not whether it is for profit.
Okay, but do you have, when someone purchases a home in the Borough of Oakland, they go for a CCO application, they have to pass certain rules and regulations in order to sell that property. And when a tenant moves in, don't they have to fill out that same paperwork in order to say that that house is approved to be moved into?
You have to get a continuously, you have to get a new CCO
Right.
when you have a new tenant.
So each person that's renting should be now have to get out a new CCO application in order to
Well,
rent
it
that
has,
property.
it's automatic. I mean, that's our laws. I mean, that's our laws.
Right, so are
That's
the
our
people
ordinance.
renting the Airbnbs filling out these applications for new CCO?
I do not know.
Probably not, in which case they're in violation of the law.
That is a very good point. You are correct.
And there ends the discussion.
With that, anybody else? Motion to close.
Motion to close.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So what do you want to do?
I mean, what's your
What's
pleasure?
our, yes?
Mayor?
Yes.
So I think this originally started 3 years ago with a resident complaint. I believe it was Mr. Petalumo. He came in front of this governing body, I believe, a couple times. He lives right down by Dogwood Hill School, and the issue that he was having was, to speak to what Mike was saying, was the fact that there was a transient population that was coming and going, and he was concerned about, and to speak to your point, John, not that there was an issue, but there was a concern within the community of who these people are because they were turning over every couple days. And it was a matter of security and knowing what's in your neighbors and that community. That's really how this, I believe this is how this started going back 3-4 years ago.
Yes, and I had the inspector go, and every time the inspector went, it was fine.
So that's kind of the genesis, and that's the rooming house piece of this, which is why, I know you were saying it's word salad, but I mean, it was a rooming house portion of this, and then there was the Airbnb side of this. So this was a house that had multiple tenants that were constantly changing out, renting a bedroom within a 5 or 6, you know, a 3-bedroom house, people in the basement, first floor, second floor, all over the place. That was the issue that we were dealing with at the time with the rooming houses. Am I correct on that, Mr. Coons?
So,
That's what originally gave rise to the
that's
discussion.
Petalino.
Vic Petalumo?
Yes.
Right.
So my suggestion is, this week, we had a lot of discussion on this, more than normal on this topic. I think we should put it back on the agenda for the next meeting. Everybody do some research, think about it, review it, do whatever investigation you feel is important, and we'll bring this up again.
Brian said he would look into the,
Yeah.
Yes.
I'll look into the rooming house also.
right.
Right. All right, the next item is amend fees.
Yeah. What's that? Yeah, so I'll take this one. So over the last several months, we've been looking at a variety of issues that are kind of all involving fees in one aspect or another, so we figured we'd kind of try and do this all at one time. So let me kind of go through what the recommendations are right now. And this is something that we had talked about with the Finance Committee as well. So the recycling bin fee, you know, you can buy recycling bins from DPW. Currently charge $15. It's costing us about $20. We are supposed to be breaking even on the sale of those cans. $20 is about what it's costing the borough to buy at wholesaler. So recommendation is to increase that to $15 to $20. We also took a look at our police off-duty fees. The price of gas increasing so rapidly this year, we realized that we were not charging, as many other departments do, a usage fee for a police vehicle when those are required. So we're proposing a $100 fee, and this is for jobs where we're providing traffic control for the utilities and the like, and increase our administrative fee from 15% to 20%, which also seems to be the going rate amongst area police departments. Land use and escrow fees, we were kind of doing a review on our escrow process and talking about how some other towns may structure their initial escrow amounts for variance applications, and kind of realized that it's been almost 30 years since our fees were adjusted at all. So we are proposing a slight increase from $200 plus $25 for each additional variance on the fee to $250 plus $50 for each variance. And then the initial escrow fee would be a multiple of that. The idea that it would perhaps save on some administrative time and ease the process for applicants who do now keep going back to replenish. And the amount that kind of work that out to $1,200 on a standard variance application, that's usually enough to cover that. OCTV sponsorship fee. If you recall, earlier this year we gave approval for the OCC to implement a sponsorship program. We actually have to also put in the fee ordinance the fees that will be charged for those sponsorships. There's a matrix there I included in your packet. It's kind of two tiers based on the time of the sponsorship, along with whether it's a nonprofit or for-profit or an individual that's doing the sponsorship. Right? And the last one kind of loops back in a way to the discussion that we just had, where you asked the question of what sort of problem are we trying to solve. And so the state, I don't know why, passed a law that says, because I didn't know that this was a problem, but it says every business in the state has to carry a certain amount of liability insurance. They set it at $500,000 and a lower amount for a certain type of business. And somehow municipalities have gotten saddled now with keeping track of those insurance certificates. So businesses are supposed to submit their insurance certificates to the borough and every municipality in which they reside. And we're supposed to keep a log of them and a file of them. For what purpose is completely unknown. From what I'm told, this was originally supposed to be a responsibility of the Department of Community Affairs. They walked it doing it, and the legislation wound up saying, well, the towns can do it. But enforcement is at our discretion, and we can kind of punt that to the state. So to comply with the law, we need to kind of establish this. What Mike and I have talked about is sending out a letter to all the businesses in town that we can identify and say, hey, you have to submit this to us. There's processing costs for that, so we're looking to establish a nominal fee to cover that cost. But unless directed otherwise by the council, we are not planning on taking any action if a business does not submit.
I shouldn't say anything because I own a business in town, but we're trying to attract businesses, and I'm trying to get this Chamber of Commerce going, and I'm working with some of the business owners to finally get the businesses, association that's viable, work together with the town, and hit. I don't know if this is the time to start putting more fees onto businesses. We want them to come into Oakland. That helps us with our taxes.
Rich, I think the problem that was trying to be solved was that the insurance companies lobby determined that they weren't making enough money, so they had to increase the liability costs.
Yeah, but actually, that raised an interesting question, because now the state passed a law, okay, and they're pushing it on the municipalities instead of them administering this program. Is this not an unfunded liability from the state, and should this not be challenged?
Because the
Mandate.
legislation says towns are authorized to establish a fee to cover their costs.
And what is the cost?
So, charge to the
You
state.
know what the cost is?
We were proposing $30, but that's, Mike and I took a look at what we thought the amount of time would be, kind of backed into a cost based on that. And, but certainly, I understand the point where you don't want to burden business. Again, I don't see the purpose of this, the legitimate purpose.
What is your association?
We have to do something with this.
Right. What are you seeing from your association? What are other towns doing?
Well, it's kind of funny because I had
I went to a league breakfast meeting yesterday morning, 7:30. They're ignoring it.
Yeah. Well, the administrators I met with in Northwest Bergen, we all kind of scratched our heads and had the same reaction that I just expressed. And they said, well, yeah, we'll have to do something. And Rich, Oakland seems like it's ahead of the curve, so let us know what you guys are doing.
So that raises the question. So do we have to take action on that piece of it, or can we just let it go?
You don't have to charge a fee. We can charge a fee.
But I'm saying,
we are going to send out a letter just saying, please send us your insurance certificate because of this new law.
Okay.
And that'll be that. We'll have to keep a log and keep a file.
And there's nothing you can do. There's no penalty if you don't do it. There's no follow-up.
It's just send a letter.
Send a letter
All right, so no fee on that?
for the moment. Let's see
All
what
right.
happens.
If everybody is comfortable with the other fees, we'll prepare an ordinance. And Brian, you can let me know whether you think we should split that into two, because one of those is land use or not, but we can work that out afterward.
All right, tax abatement.
all right, I'll take that one. So as you know, we're trying very hard to improve the downtown, and we brought up as a governing body in the early spring about having an area for redevelopment from Franklin Ave up to Oak Street. And what we wanted to do was put a vehicle in place to provide tax abatements for the businesses so that if they do improvements to their building, whether it's a facade or they go up, that they get a tax abatement on their improvements for the next 5 years. So what I want to do is this, the reason it's on the agenda is for the council to take a look at this. We're not ready to introduce this yet because we still have a lot of moving parts that the planning board's looking at, including streetscape and some other elements before we execute this. So I just want everybody to have an opportunity to read it, get their input on it, and we can revisit this once the planning board has completed their work for the rest of the project.
Thank you.
Any comments from the council? Has everybody looked at it?
The only thing I would say is what you've been provided with is the form that you would find on the state website.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you. New business, before I ask for new business, I have something. And you brought this up, Mike brought this up about theft of vehicles and breaking in. My mayor's group has talked about this at every meeting. Cars are being, I won't say cars, vehicles are being broken into. People are leaving their keys or fobs in the car. They leave their doors unlocked. It's not just Oakland, I'm telling you, it's all our surrounding towns. The worst stories I'm hearing are the vehicles, the cars that are parked inside a garage. So people leave their keys inside the car, thinking it's safe because it's inside the garage. And apparently, some very, very clever people have figured out a universal remote to open up a garage door. They open up a garage door, they see a car with a key inside, and they pull the car out. And in fact, one mayor told us the story that the woman was sitting in the house, she was getting dinner ready, the garage door goes up, she thought it was her husband coming home for dinner, she didn't think anything of it. Next thing, she's looking out the window and the car is leaving her property. So I've been talking to other mayors, and I brought this up with Richard to make some inquiries for samples. One particular town passed an ordinance, it was a resolution, because the new thing is now not just stealing vehicles, but stealing catalytic converters. So this one particular town went around to the local mechanics in the town and said, look, we need help with this. If a resident comes into your place of business, would you be willing to, I don't know what the word is, not inscribe, but I guess I don't know what you mean.
Retrofit?
Inscribe into the category, your VIN number,
Oh,
so that if it's ever sold, they have it. And in return, you get free publicity, and it would be like, 1 week only. I mentioned this to our borough administrator to get a copy of that particular resolution when that's out. And he said, well, maybe we should go through the police and have the police walk around and check with different mechanics in town would they be willing to do it. It would only be for Oakland residents, so we would announce it that these particular automobile mechanics are willing to do this for you. If you make an appointment, bring in your vehicle on such and such a day between October 1st and October 10th or whatever, we will, I don't know what you do with the catalytic converter. You could, I don't know.
They grave it, and what they did in this other town too
So if
was...
it's ever sold out, they have the VIN number. You can give that to the police. So Richard was going to work with our police department to go around. So I just want to know if you think this is a good idea. It was so successful in that town. I just got so excited. I thought this would be a great idea to do this for our residents and working with our local mechanics. And I do not know about, we're waiting to hear from the police back on this.
That's correct. So I contacted the town, they provided me all the details they had on their program, how they ran it, provided those to the police chief, and it was going to either him or another officer was going to start reaching out to the shops in town.
I just have a question. I'm not aware of any catalytic converter problems in Oakland. Are we having that problem?
I heard one in the area, no, it's not here, but I did hear in the surrounding towns, but one particular town had this problem, and it was in the newspaper, and that's what triggered it when I read it in the newspaper. I looked at the newspaper. I read it in the newspaper. It wouldn't hurt. I mean, if they're willing to do it, the mechanics are willing to do it, or any of the auto shops are willing to do it for free for our Oakland residents, it would be wonderful. The problem is there's a lot of thefts. It's awful. I mean, I come from New York. I come here. I never had to lock my car door. It was wonderful. You could leave things in the car. Now, my car is always locked. It's just something you have to do. And I live on a nice little quiet street, but I lock my car door. I'm afraid not to because of all the thefts and what I hear about. Richard, I'm asking Richard to pursue this with our police department and talk to some of the mechanics. If they're willing to do it, we would have it for a very short period of time. It would be free publicity for the auto body shops. And
It's very expensive to be replaced, the
catalytic converter?
Very expensive.
but how much would it, what could it cost to inscribe something, grade your VIN number in a catalytic? I don't know. We'll find out. It's something I just wanted to bring up. Anybody else have new business? Something I brought up.
Yeah, I just have a new business for Mr. Coons. Today, I guess, the state of New Jersey passed a 20% increase on medical insurance for employees. What is that effect going to be on our borough as far as our budget? That's a big hit.
Nothing.
No.
That was specific to the state health benefits plan.
Yes.
Okay.
So if you were a town that is in the state health benefits plan, the overall premium increase next year will be 24%. 21% for state employees. I don't think that they released rates for schools. We're not in the state health benefits program. Our increase next year will be much more modest than that.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's why I didn't call you. Yes, I knew that. Whole business?
I have one more, Mayor.
Yes.
I just want to, once again, we're talking about the downtown and what we can do to improve Oakland. And actually, Councilman McCann brought this to my attention. There's nothing, the first impression when you come into town is probably the most important thing. And when you come off 287 South and you come to the Oakland exit, and as soon as you come to the end next to the restaurant on the right by West Oakland Ave, you've got this hodgepodge of signage. You've got for sale signs, and it's not welcoming to Oakland. Now, if you go into Franklin Lakes and some of the surrounding towns, you come in, especially on Colonial Road coming off High Mountain, as if you're going to Yawpo, they have this beautiful 4x4 signage. It says, "Welcome to Franklin Lakes." They took all the signage, they condensed it, they put some shrubbery around it, and it's just very welcoming to the community.
Which exit are you talking about?
Coming in from Franklin Ave or Colonial Road?
No, in Oakland.
When you come up right next to the restaurant, when you're coming up from 287 South, right to West
Dewey.
Oakland by Travato Dewey. It's just a mess. And then once you make that left as you're going up, once you get past Mike's Doghouse, okay, you see this unkept piece of grass and property with these weed trees growing and weeds and everything. And it's just like, why can't we just dress that up, make people feel welcoming, clean that piece of property up, and just make it better for the residents and make Oakland more
And
welcoming?
that's a railroad, isn't it?
That's
Isn't
the
it a railroad?
railroad.
Well, we could come
have
out
to
and
work
let-
with the railroad.
So let's go after the road, say, hey, fix that piece of property. It's all part of Oakland and our image.
Ms. McCann, you know about the railroad.
I do, but
Who has priority?
well, so, but I think what Eric's talking about that I brought to his attention is as soon as you come off, there's a piece of property right in front
With
of
all
you.
the signs, right?
Right, that's
With
not the
sale,
railroad.
right, you're
That's
right.
not, the railroad is further up.
Right.
That's a whole other issue that
I
you-
agree with you.
But that when you come off, I mean, I just got this from a friend of mine. When he drives from Pennsylvania to New England for work, and he comes off to go to the Starbucks. And when I told him I moved to Oakland, he goes, "Oh, I didn't know you moved." I said, "Well, that was like 8 years ago." And so his impression was coming off. He told me what his impression was of Oakland based upon
The signs.
based
Yeah.
upon the signs and that property that's on.
That's a free-for-all, that property.
Yeah. So, just the suggestion was, and I think it's a valid one, to talk to that property owner, enforce our ground ordinances.
And it's for sale, that property.
Yeah, but that doesn't, you know better than me, doesn't relieve them from their obligation.
No, but, and we know what it's like working with the railroad. We've tried.
Right. So, and then further, when you make that left, that is the
Yes,
railroad.
the
Yeah.
railroad.
So,
And then it'll connect with Bush Plaza.
right. So, I'd like to discuss with our borough attorney. I found that the railroad will ignore you, but for a lawsuit, and that usually brings them to the table, and you get all kinds of cooperation after that. So, I would recommend being aggressive with them as opposed to passive.
We've tried. In fact, you could ask former Councilman Lou Levy about aggression with the
Well,
railroad.
yeah, I think, but I think I'll speak with Brian about it. I have had that experience with a railroad in my prior town, and there's a certain language you can use that gets their attention.
Good. Oh, well, we'll listen. Thank you. Any other new business? All business? Council committee, well, keep talking.
No, I'm done.
Council committee, council committee report?
Oh,
Yes.
sure. You mentioned Lou Levy, so I met with the Flood Commission the other night, and there's a lot of experience, as you know, on that commission, and they voiced a lot of concerns that, in my view, were legitimate concerning the development that we're undertaking. Things were said that made sense to me and rang true, things that even though I may not have been here at the time and other people may not have been, going back to, the state said this was okay and the engineers said this was okay when they were doing 287, and some of the problems that we're still having today are because of 287. So I thought that their comments and concerns were valid. Now, I don't know what structure, what process that we would engage in, but I was thinking out loud that maybe Mayor has the power of an ad hoc committee, putting a couple of members of the Flood Commission and create a committee to look at the ancient problems that were created by promises made by state officials in prior engineers, and make sure that we don't have a repeat of that, to help ensure that we don't have a repeat of that. I mean, we're stuck with certain processes and certain data points that we will be provided for by the engineers as it relates to the retention basin and so forth. But I do think the people on that committee, longtime residents here, experienced professionals on that committee, could offer a voice to give us some guidance as it relates to the development.
But has the Flood Commission forwarded a paper on what they object to and what their suggestions are to the planning board yet?
No, what they're doing.
They should.
We're in the process of working on that.
Okay.
But I can tell you that the objections are going to be flat out that they don't believe the data. because prior people in similar situations made promises. So I think that it would be in the town's interest to address their legacy concerns.
Well, what you said before, and I agree with you, we need to be specific. The Flood Commission needs to say, we object with this calculation on page 22. They have to be very specific so that our borough engineer, who works for the borough, can look at the calculation and agree or disagree that the calculation is incorrect.
Yeah, I think that because of the promises made in the past and the problems that are self-evident even today, based upon those promises and the processes that the town followed before, I think the reason why you want to create a separate ad hoc committee is a recommendation.
Are you saying a committee to deal with the project now, or a committee in general of Almond Brook?
No, it's not really specifically Almond Brook. It's to deal with the legacy problems that have been created by the 287
Well, I'm going to
project.
tell you who's most knowledgeable.
Yep.
And I know you're going to be unhappy when I say this, but the person who did all the research and is most knowledgeable is former Councilman Levy, and I'm going to talk to him about that.
Yeah.
And we'll have a discussion, and I'll talk with you about it.
Yeah, I mean, you have, these are legitimate problems, and to Pat's point, as to the specifics of it, well, they haven't seen specifics yet.
Well,
Okay?
no, there has been specifics on flow.
Right, oh, I know, and we had an in-depth discussion about that. They're not engineers. And so the concept is, you take members from that committee, or I guess, Councilman Levy, and you bring them in, and there's two other people you may want to create. Again, it's an advisory committee. You want to listen to their concerns, because you don't want to have a repeat problem. And if it means adding another engineer to the plan to review, again, I've seen this in my, I'm now an old man, essentially at 62, but through my experience, I've seen these promises made in other towns. I'm going through that now in the town where I serve as a municipal attorney. Promises were made by the state, by DEP.
Yeah.
And those are the things that we can do as a council to address those concerns. With the people on that commission, there are people, as pointed out by the mayor, you have someone who's done a lot of research, and you have other people that can point to specific problems. I know I can't.
Yeah.
I don't feel qualified to
The
do it.
members on the Flood Commission now, they have been there for many years, and they know their stuff. They have the
Yes.
paperwork, they research, and it'd be worthwhile to sit and talk to them. about it.
If, however, one recommendation, if we are going to have an ad hoc committee, we've had some issues in the past where there's no deadline to the ad hoc committee formulating a report. It seems to go on and on and on, and we never get the final. So the ad hoc committee should be given a specific purpose with a specific deadline date and expiration so that, they come to a conclusion.
Yeah, well, again, I think there's nothing wrong with that. When you make the committee's created, I believe, by resolution, so it automatically expires at the end of the year anyway. So you could add conditions in the resolution. There's nothing wrong with that.
I'm going to talk to former Councilman Levy. I'll call him tomorrow.
It's just a recommendation, that's all.
I'm going to call Lou.
But outside of that, they talked about some of the specific issues.
With the Mccoy property?
Yeah, and I found them to be very knowledgeable. Very knowledgeable. It's a very good committee.
And just like I said to the Environmental Commission last night, if they have specific issues, they need to write a letter or write a report giving specifics as to what they're saying, not generalities. They have to be very specific. Lee Heyman gave some excellent remarks last night. I said, put them in a letter from the Environmental Commission. Now's the time to do it.
Right.
Now's the time. I think they're still preliminary, right, Mayor? It's Hobnavian, Mccoy.
Oh,
It's still preliminary.
We're still.
Yeah.
not giving up
So
on
we
it.
have time, but time is of the essence. So if our experts or people with experience have specifics, need to put it in writing so that it can be presented to the planning board.
Can I just ask a question? Mr. Yakimic, do you attend the flood commission meetings?
Mr. Mike, I do not.
You do not. Would there be any benefit to having Mr., since he is a hired professional,
I completely agree.
have Mr. Yakimic be part of the conversation that's taking place with the flood commission and bring them forward to the...
I'm going to call Lou tomorrow. I'll talk to you, John. I'm going to call Lou tomorrow.
I am willing to attend flood
You'll talk to
commission meetings.
Lou.
So that there's a sharing of communication. Because Boswell Engineering had a PhD in hydraulics and hydrology review the calculations that, I'm not exaggerating, are this thick for that development. It took him about 2 months to do that, very thorough. And perhaps maybe if there's an exchange of communication, then a lot of things can get resolved. And I understand the ills associated with Almond Brook and the history there, and I think it would be beneficial that this group does impart their information to me.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I agree, 100%.
Thank you.
Experience is
Lou
invaluable.
Levy, if you're listening, I'm calling you tomorrow.
I have a report to read from the Communications Committee. Everyone, I apologize, but Ryan is very thorough, and I will go through it pretty quickly. The commission met on Wednesday, September 7th, and they're going to be sending letters out asking for donations to install video cameras into the senior center, so residents will have access to additional programming and be able to see more of the type of content that they want to watch. Letters will go to Altice, Verizon, local VT TV. Chairman also reached out to a resident who's interested in donating towards the project. We apparently have a resident who's interested in donating some money. I would also like to talk to the council about as we come into the budget cycle, about adding some additional funds into this project that they want to do. The newsletter committee, unfortunately, as we discussed earlier, had the resignation of Chairwoman Liz Lorente, and the committee wants to thank you, Liz, if you're listening, for your service, and you will certainly be missed. The committee would like to welcome Kerry Serenides, I believe she's here. Hi, Kerry. Who will be stepping in and doing a lot of work, and it's a big project. It is a big deal that she's stepping into. She probably doesn't even realize it sitting there. Okay, but the committee will make it as easy for her as possible, hopefully. They also had we also need new members, and so if there's anyone who's interested in being a member of the OCC, please contact the borough or Ryan himself at occ@oakland-nj.org.org. They're also continuing working on a welcome packet for the borough for new residents. The Oakland Television Committee is also looking for volunteers, especially if you have video editing experience. Recording, there will be a recording of the candidates forum this weekend. Segments would be airing on Oakland TV and posted on the Borough YouTube channel towards the end of September, early October at the latest. Hopefully I'll be doing mine on Sunday and I won't break the equipment. Okay. We're looking for the committee, the television committee, is looking for volunteers with editing experience. It could be a high school student. It doesn't have to be an adult. Anyone that's interested in television editing or has some experience would be welcome to the committee, and they will get ample opportunities to improve their skills. The Bulletin Board Committee would love to hear about events from nonprofits in the town, so it can be promoted on the Oakland TV Bulletin Board. Go to the Communications Commission webpage on the Borough website and click the button for the Bulletin Board Committee to learn more and submit your event information. So if you're a nonprofit in Oakland, please do that. The committee is also accepting music submissions to serve as the background music for the bulletin board as the information slides through. So if you go to the bulletin board, there's a constant elevator music playing. I would recommend, 60s Jethro Tull or maybe some Led
There you
Zeppelin,
go.
but I don't
Good
think
idea.
that's going
Good idea.
to cut it for today's generation. So. And the next meeting for the commission will be November 7th of 2022 at 7:30 here in the council chambers.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Councilman?
Okay, for the Oakland Sustainable New Jersey, there's going to be a styrofoam collection taking place Saturday, September 24th, right in front of Borough Hall. It's going to run from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. Now, the important footnote here is it's Oakland to Oakland residents only for the first hour from 9 to 10. So if you're an Oakland resident with styrofoam, bring it down, because after 10 o'clock, it's opened up to everybody else in the county. So that's going to be September 24th at 9 a.m. in front of Borough Hall. The other piece of information we have from them is there's going to be a park cleanup, Great Oak Park, this Saturday, September 17th at 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. You can meet down by the dog park entrance, and they're going to be removing garbage and the tubes for the plantings. They planted several hundred trees 3 years ago, so they're going to be removing all those tubes and doing a cleanup. So for more information, go to greatoakcleanup.eventbrite.com or just get the information from the website. For the Rec Commission, there was a very much anticipated meeting that took place at the end of August, where the new Indian Hills Athletic Director, Mr. John Duncan, had an opportunity to address the rec parents. It was very well attended, 50, 60 people. It was a sellout crowd down at the senior center. And there's always been a bit of a disconnect between the high school and Oakland Recreation. But with this new AD, he really has some serious goals to really get involved with local recreation to recruit these students into Indian Hills. And his background was he came from Ridgefield. He was the athletic director of Memorial High School in Ridgefield. He wants to give the focus is to really get, for Oakland, is to promote Indian Hills athletics and rebalance the Ramapo Indian Hills school population. Right now, Ramapo has a larger school population in Oakland, and they seem to gravitate toward Ramapo. So one of his goals is team development, making Indian Hills the best place to be. He's going to do that with a peer group, where he'll bring students from a rec program up to the high school, getting involved, he's going to do everything from working with our coaches, team development, develop the athletes, have a senior or the high school students come down and work with the rec students, and really use that as a way to bring these rec students into Indian Hills and really make them part of our community. So, I mean, he's really got some very big aspirations and goals, and certainly wish him the best of luck moving forward. And that's all I have for now, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilman?
Yes, Mayor, thank you. For the senior citizens, tomorrow, Thursday, is movie day, and it's going to be at 1 p.m., and the movie is going to be The Queen. I would imagine it's the former Queen of England, but the movie is going to be at 1 o'clock tomorrow, and the movie is The Queen. The book club is going to meet Tuesday, 9/27 at 1 p.m. Book of the month is Malibu Rising. Coffee with a Cop. This date was postponed to 9/29, September 29th at 11:30 a.m. Bagels and coffee will be served, but they do ask you to RSVP by calling 201-405-7731 so that they bring enough bagels and coffee.
What time?
It's at 11:30 a.m. As we were saying before, for the planning board, we are in preliminary approval for the Hobnavian track on McCoy Road. People have a lot of good suggestions. I wish more people would come with their suggestions, because several of them are going to be acted upon. I don't want to say for sure yet, but the Hobnavian is taking another look at possibly putting in sidewalks on McCoy Road. That hasn't been firmed up yet. And there are other items that we have suggested that they're going to take a second look at and more possibly provide them. So I suggest people to come, even the Flood Commission, Lou Levy did come. We need your input. Experience is invaluable. They are receptive. I'm not saying to every point we make, but Mr. Yukimik is a very convincing borough engineer, and he has been pretty successful so far. So please come to the planning board. Next one is October 13th, right, Mayor?
That Thursday, that's the 13th.
October 13th at the Senior Center at 7:30, right? Or 7? 7, yeah, 7 p.m.
At the Senior Center.
At the Senior Center, yes, please come. The Board of Health is going to meet on September 20th. And Mayor, did you receive something from Meals on Wheels about attending their annual luncheon? And if we couldn't send a representative, they would like to see if we would make a donation. Rich, do we make any donation to Meals on Wheels now? No.
Are you going?
Pardon?
Are you going? I don't know about this email.
Yeah, I'm going to check again the date, so I can't tell you the date. But if not, if we can't send a representative, I would like to go. Yeah, I would like to go. If we can't send a representative, I would like to maybe in our budget for next year put something in for a donation to Meals on Wheels, because there are people who depend upon that. I know people personally. And that's it, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman?
Yes. So, public events. Thank you for our new members. We still need more members. And as you can see, we're talking about another parade. There's a lot of things that public events do, but we will be having the Halloween parade on October 29th at 10 a.m. You'll line up at the front of Valley Middle School, and then they parade around the library and through the Veterans Memorial there. It's a lot of fun, and it's one of our best events, I think, because we have a lot of fun there, and the kids enjoy it, the parents enjoy it. But also there's a trunk or treat, and so they're looking for some vehicles. So it says the annual trunk or treat, Oakland Public Library, 2 Municipal Plaza, Oakland, New Jersey, set up between 8:30 and 9:30 a.m. The parade starts at 10 a.m. and ends by noon. All car owners will receive a trophy, special awards for best decorated cars. Any year, make, model, any type of car is welcome. It doesn't have to be an antique car. It could just be a minivan. It could just be, there's no fee to be in the event, but you have to bring candy for approximately 300 kids. We line you up along the driveway there, and the kids walk by and you hand out the candy. In the event of rain, the event moves inside to the valley, and so you don't need the cars, but if you still want to hand out the candy, we would appreciate that. We make a line in the Valley Middle School. So to register or to get additional information for this event, if you could email Joe Inglima, he's part of Oakland Public Events.
He's going to put in his form, my friend.
Don't tell him. Don't tell him.
Tell him to leave.
And the email is j2a1i7@aol.com. j2a1i7@aol.com. And if you don't have that, you could always email the Public Events Commission or me. And then that is it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman.
Thank you, Mayor. The water and sewer updates, the decommissioning of the 3 sanitary sewer treatment plants. The next work progress meeting is scheduled for September 27th. The completion date for the project is August 24th, 2023. Piping work has commenced on East Oakland Avenue and Ramapo Avenue. The contractor hit a gas main today on Ramapo Avenue at Fire Station 1. The gas main has been repaired. Piping work has progressed on Franklin Avenue in Oakland and Franklin Lakes. Issues are being resolved concerning directional drilling at the downtown railroad crossing and at Route 202 Franklin Avenue culvert in Oakland. For the Iroquois pump station upgrades, Boswell Engineering and Oakland DPW are working actively with the contractor, and the adjacent homeowner is resolving a new service issue required by Rockland Electric. Materials have been arriving and the contract is performing removal work. The project is expected to be completed by the end of this year, subject to Rockland Electric's schedule. For the PFAS compounds treatment at the 3 water production wells, a second public information meeting was held by the mayor and council on August 29th. Boswell resolved initial comments from the NJDEP and just recently received a few more comments from them, which we expect to resolve by next week. The backup generator at the Soons Field pumping station, the delivery of the generator is not expected until late spring 2023. The overlook water storage tank and anode protection. The tank is due for a repainting in the spring of 2023. An inspection of the tank is recommended to identify and other repairable defects. Boswell Engineering is working with the Oakland DPW on procedures. News from water and sewer update from our DPW. The water department employees will resume their annual fire hydrant flushing and inspection program on September 19th. Every borough-owned hydrant will be flushed, pressure tested, and inspected as required by the NJDEP. Work will continue until the end of November, and residents should not expect a disruption of water service. Also, just a brief update from the library. Qigong classes are starting on Tuesday, September 20th at 6 p.m. and run every Tuesday at this time, ending on November 1st. No registration is needed, just show up. They have also rescheduled the Slavery in New Jersey program to Thursday, September 22nd at 6:30. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to start with the Shade Tree Commission, and we have 1 open seat on Shade Tree, so please need 1 more volunteer to join the team. It's a great group. A couple of things going on, and just to show you, Ed Clark, who is now the acting president, he won a volunteer award for all his work done. He's also had the Shade Tree Commission working with Hobnavian. Everyone knows about the project going on, the finale project going on in the high school. So the Shade Tree Commission took it upon themselves to meet with Hobnavian with their project landscape architect and their civil engineer, talk about trees as we're taking trees down, how we can work together and replant trees to make sure we have the privacy between the high school and the development. I thought that was a very nice initiative for the team to take on. The Adopt a Tree program for Shade Tree, the trees that were scheduled to be planted in summer 2002 are going to be rescheduled to 2023. We basically run out of trees, so we have to reschedule trees going forward for spring 2023. To date, in August, we had the town forester visited 51 properties. There's 31 tree permits issued, and there was 86 trees removed. And year to date, we've visited 327 properties, 156 permits issued, and 407 trees have been removed in Oakland. Again, please, if anyone's interested in joining the Shade Tree Commission, it's a great, highly functioning committee to the law for the town. We can use 1 more member. For DPW, simply put, it's a light report this week. The annual outfall inspection. So, as part of the borough stormwater pollution plan, Public Works have inspected 162 drainage outfalls throughout the municipality along the river. After the inspection completed, all the positions that are created, and this information has been shared with our engineer to replace and fix as we go forward. From streetlights and potholes, please. It's getting darker earlier, and we want to get the roads in the best shape possible. If you see streetlights out or potholes, please call DPW at 201-337-8104 so we can work with Rockland Electric to make sure we get the streetlights fixed, and also DPW send out crews for the potholes. I always love saying this for DPW. It's become a joke between me and DPW. Since March of this year, we filled approximately 900 potholes in town. So great job of that team. For the Bush Plaza, as everyone knows, we've applied for grants, we're working towards fixing up Bush Plaza. Bush Plaza is right along the railroad that Mr. McCann was talking about, or 202. We are currently doing survey work of the property, and we're waiting on some deed response back from legal on the property conflicts. We're actually working with the railroad on exactly where the property starts and ends, so we can start that project. We'll be fundraising for this over the next couple of months. I think next council meeting, Kevin Heffernan, who's on the Bush Plaza committee, is going to be presenting to the council about the work and where our next steps are on the project. And that's all I had there. Oh, well, one more point. To your point you started out with, I know friends who are poll workers, and if everyone went to the last election, there was not enough poll workers. So I vote in Manitou School, and everyone there was from outside of Oakland. They said they got called the night before to come because there wasn't enough poll workers. So if you can help during the election, be a poll worker, please do so. We were very short in last election.
And $300.
And you make some money.
Point of, Mayor?
Yeah.
Comment from the point of footer. On the point of the poll workers, this should have come under new business, but during the primary, normally people provide them, I guess the political parties, either Democrat or Republicans, provide them with some food or something. There was nothing there.
That's right.
They didn't do it?
Nothing, no one did anything.
No, I went and got a case of water and brought it back to the people in Manitou.
And I would, like to recommend.
I'll find out why they didn't do that. That's very unusual.
Right. Well, can the borough the borough is you're not influencing because it's the borough.
Don't they set up
Can the borough provide with some sustenance during the day?
We'll find out.
Just cases of water, please.
Something.
I know the Democrats.
There was nothing.
The Democrats always bring dinner.
Right.
And John Vialli was the person.
Right.
I will find out why he didn't.
Okay. Well, we have another meeting before then, but in the absence of that,
We'll find out. We'll have our attorney check it out.
He can sample the food around town and make a recommendation.
All right. At this point, I'll entertain a motion to open to the public. You want to talk about food? We'll listen.
So second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Does anyone wish to speak? No one wishes to speak? Motion closed.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Bills to be paid.
Bills to be paid, $729,009.64. So moved.
Second.
As long as you've read the bills list and checked it out, you can vote. Roll call.
Council members Kamala?
Yes.
McCann?
Yes.
Pignatelli?
Yes.
Saliani?
Yes.
Kuzinski?
Yes.
Salamini?
Yes.
Motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next Borough Council meeting will be held right here in Council Chambers, September 28th, Wednesday night. To all our Jewish residents and friends, we wish you a very happy New Year.